You know, come here. I'm not sure if I like this or not. I'm a really big fan of Alison Brooke. I might have mentioned it on my If Then series. Um, Carrie Singleton works in a library and she solves murder mysteries, and she also has a cat named Smokey Joe. And there's also a ghost. And I really love the closeness of that one. And then there's Jen McKinley, who also has a library series. Lindsay is your main character, and she solves murder mysteries. She's also got a beau, soon to be husband, or is husband now in that series if you read it far enough along. Do you always have to go off? So you can check out my New Year's post for her identity over there. And they do crafting Thursdays where they share meals, finger food, and do some crafting on Thursdays. So I like these mysteries that take part in libraries. So I found this new authors, and there's only 3 books so far, and I usually don't uh, do authors with so few books out. But I kept picking it up. I kept picking it up, and I kept picking it up. So I finally decided I was going to sit down and read it. And it didn't take that long. Just I had too many issues. Um she would mention it's the first book of the series. So when it's the first book in the series and I don't know who our regulars are yet, I make a little spreadsheet. Oh, and welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina, Kristina. This is where we read books and talk about books, no special effects, none of that stuff going on. I'd appreciate the subscribe. I don't do that button thingy because I don't know how. And so I found this. Don't forget Flashback Mondays, where we talk about the books I was reading back when. That magazine is still gold today. And Star Trek Fridays, which used to be really popular and has fallen flat on its face. And my If Then series, which stars Friday afternoons. So, anyways, the Unkindness of Ravens, M.J. Hilliard, and I wrote it down. Let me see if I can. It was. It didn't hold my attention, and I'm so embarrassed. I wrote this down specifically. Oh, crumbs. Um, oh, look, oh, shoot. There's no special editing going on here either. What you see is what you get. And, I had some issues. Characters weren't really introduced. Not even like I got some, but I got a few characters and their relation to the library, but there were some people that she just started talking to. She would call up these people, and you didn't know why or how, and then she went to the coffee shop and just started talking with them. It was no statement that they had a pre-established relationship. It's just what got me though, and the reason I picked it up to begin with, and I've talked about this previously. During COVID, I gave away quite a few books, and I regret giving quite a few of them away. My Jim Butcher and my Alan Dean Foster Spell Singer and my Paul Zindels and my Judy Blooms. I regret giving those away. But I also gave away my Judy Nancy Drew, Trixie Belden's The Hardy Boys, the whole 9 yards. I gave those away. And she does a lot of referencing in here to these authors. And that's what kind of drew me in at first. Growing up, I remember liking Trixie Belden better than Nancy Drew because she got into more trouble. I preferred Nancy Drew. Plus, there was a TV series, and plus, the Hardy Boys had Sean Cassidy. Have you seen him lately? He's going some shows lately. Plus, Trixie had a better boyfriend than Nancy. Jim Frame was much hotter than Ned Nickerson. I'm not convinced Ned Nickerson was atonally correct. I always pictured him looking like a Ken doll. Jim Frey had red hair and a working class background, but turned out to be related to an eccentric millionaire and came into a pile of money at an early age. He was a prototype Nora Roberts hero. Well-mannered, financially secure, comfortable in the tux, but still able to fix things around the house and radiate the alpha maleness at the drop of a hat. And she also talks about Sue Grafton's Kinsey writing all her notes on index cards. So I have read all these books, and it just drew me in. Unfortunately, it lost me lots. It just she has a past. Her husband was murdered, and she was considered a suspect for a short period of time. She drinks, and I didn't care for that. Although I've had characters who also drink, but there was too many holes. I didn't feel the closeness in this book that I feel in the Dan McKinley's books or the Alison Brooks books. I don't feel the camaraderie or the closeness of the staff yet, and she's supposed to have been there 6 months. So maybe in the next couple of books, although I'm not sure I'm ready. I don't know. I'll look at the next one, but I'm not sure. I've got it. But I may go back to Patterson, and I'm anxious to jump into Victoria Thompson. But let's get back to this. So she goes up to the attic to have lunch, and a body drops at her feet. So they call the police and stuff like that, and she's president. The victim is president of the Friends of the Library. And I deal with I'm a member of the Friends of the Library. I'm not on the board. Maybe I would like to be, but I'm not. I'm just a little peon. I'm just a little buzzy bee that works in volunteers in a bookshop. And I buy too many books. But they're cheap. You can't get them this cheap in other places. So, Smokey. So I have my own Smokey Joe, only it's a girl, and my Smokey was Smokey first. And I did those books, so please check those out on my reviews and my other. I did a whole bunch of library books. Not Paige Shelton. One of the other ladies does murder mysteries on a bookmobile. That's always fun. So she's got this murder victim, and she calls the cops, and we're not really introduced to the cops. It's just like Officer Weber and O'Donnell, and we don't see much of them. They're missing for quite a bit of the story. There's no interaction between the characters. There's nothing to make them familiar to you until much later in the book, when we discover that it's Officer Jenny Weber. She's a female, and it is until much later in the book that they become friends, and GREER relies on her for help and support. So it just comes so late. That just bothered me. So we're very slow. We didn't do that walk in the park. And I complain about the walk in the park quite often with books. Um, good. There she is, Miss America Cat. I often complain about the walk in the park, and if we ever do we'll do Charlene Harrison and her Midnight series. The first book of the Midnight series, it took me like 12 chapters to get into it, and it took me over 6 months to read it because the walk in the park took too long. But in Regency books, they do it quicker, a chapter or two, where the two main characters go for a ride, like the wooing characters, and they go for the either a stroll in the park or the carriage ride in the park, and they meet Mrs. Jane. How are you? Mrs. Jane is so and so. Mr. Smith is so and they introduce the characters as they walk through the park, who they're going to be interacting through the story. We didn't get that in this, and while I really, I don't need a page like Laurel does. Laurel could sit there and describe a person's physical appearance for 2 pages, and you're like, just skip it, just skip it. But a line or two would have been good, like who they were, what their position was in the library. I had to make my little chart and keep track of it. Then we had too many characters come in that weren't properly introduced. She just walked into the, where's my other sheet? Meadow, Jack, and Joni Mitchell. She just walks into the coffee shop and starts talking to these people. Not their background, not any information if they've been friendly before. She just sits there. Oh, she doesn't say, "Oh, I'd like to talk to you about what happened the other day." But none of that stuff happens. She just starts talking to these people. They invite her over to the table. They're the only ones, and they just start. I would have liked a little background, a little information on that, and she has the bird thing going on quite a bit. So I had to write this down. So the person falls at her feet, dead, and she knows who it is, and the cops come and they start investigating and they question people, blah blah blah, standard procedure. But we don't get the closeness in the characters. We don't feel the relationships. We don't get emotionally involved in the story. And you know me, if you're a regular on this channel, and I hope you're a regular on this channel, I get violent. I get into it. I'll start yelling and screaming like a soap opera. I didn't do this with this book. I was like, all right, I need this to be over. This is going on too long. It's just too long. She didn't introduce the people. I didn't get a lot of it. I didn't feel the closeness or the camaraderie that I wanted to feel, that I feel in the other books. So it's only the first book, and we may get that in the future, so we'll have to give it some time. So maybe I'll come back to this. I do have the next 2 books, but I'm really not sure I want to get there yet. But I wanted to read this one thing because the birds appear. She seems to be a big Edgar Allan Poe fan, and that seems to be where the title comes from. The Unkindness of Ravens. And I wrote this down because I wanted to be sure. Murder, I muttered, turning my attention back to the gathering. Shadows crisscrossed the patch of sunlight in front of me. The manor ravens were on the move. One by one, they glided across the lawn and took up post in the trees that fringed the property. It was rare to see so many at once, and what was that called? Unkindness, I said. An unkindness of ravens. Rubbing my chilled arms, I rose from the bench and took a last look at the scene below me. Unkindness and murder, I whispered. Enough, I moved swiftly. That's what the explanation is for the title of the book, and I didn't get it. So It didn't hold me. I was forever being distracted. My child here wanted some attention, so I was paying attention to her. Um, so I don't know. It just it didn't have that homey feel. She does a lot of investigating. Um, it I don't know. I mean, I took a pound of notes, but it just I, I didn't connect to it. Maybe I'll connect to the next one. Maybe I'll feel better. I do not know, but you can check it out for yourself. See who. I mean, the murderer remains aloof the entire book. Um, so it's not somebody that appears on stage often. One of my authors says that if it happens on the page, it's on stage. But if you're told that it happened, one character's talking to another character going, oh, last week, blah, 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 then that's off stage. So the murderer remains pretty much off stage, although they do make brief appearances here and there and here and there and here and there. And you're led to believe it's one person for a while, and then you're led to believe it's another person for a while. But I don't know. I mean, it's a good. The climax is good. The ending. It just. I was just getting to the point. I was like, all right. Can we get to it already? Can we get to it already? I don't know why. I'm usually more interested in the books when we start putting all the pieces together. I love the Jen McKinley books, and I love the Alison Brooke books, and the other ones I read that are library related. And I did a whole if then on libraries and bookstore, and I'm waiting for the Lorna Barrett, the next Lorna Barrett to come out. Haven't got a clue bookstore. I love it. And Jen uh, Delaney has one, isn't it Delaney? And it's just I don't know. So we'll have to see. So please let me know what you think if you've checked this out. The Unkindness of Ravens, M. Hilliard. See what you think. And please hit the like and subscribe. Thank you.